Welcome to Psychic Station. We live in a world that often tells us to keep pushing forward, to suck it up, and to never show weakness. But what happens when the weight of these expectations becomes too heavy to bear? When society pressures individuals to constantly perform, to fit into predefined boxes, to measure up to an image of success that isn't truly theirs, what happens to the emotions that remain buried beneath the surface? Too often, we overlook the struggles of those around us because society doesn't make room for emotional vulnerability. Mental health challenges are dismissed as signs of weakness, not as real and pressing issues that need to be addressed. The prevailing culture of toughness, self-reliance, and just deal with it leaves no space for those suffering in silence to ask for help. This creates a cycle in which individuals are trapped in a system that expects them to thrive without considering their emotional well-being. Think about the countless individuals who wake up every day and wear a mask, pretending everything is fine while internally battling feelings of loneliness, fear, and confusion. They might be surrounded by people but still feel isolated. They may appear successful, but the emotional toll is taking its toll quietly. And the truth is, for many, there is no one to talk to. There's no outlet for their pain, and no one to validate their feelings. Take a moment to consider the millions of people who endure emotional struggles due to societal expectations. From teenagers feeling the pressure to conform to unrealistic beauty standards to adults trapped in toxic work environments where success is defined by productivity and profit, the emotional burden is undeniable. The very systems that claim to provide security, whether it's in the workplace, in relationships, or in schools, are the ones that often exacerbate these issues by reinforcing standards that are not reflective of real human experiences. In this environment, it's easy to see why so many people feel disconnected, disillusioned, or even hopeless. They are told to ignore their emotions, to keep going, without addressing the underlying issues. But how can anyone truly thrive if they are carrying emotional wounds that no one is willing to acknowledge? This is the hidden epidemic of emotional distress, the struggle that is so often left unspoken in our daily lives. And the consequences are far-reaching. Individuals begin to question their self-worth, doubt their abilities, and lose their sense of purpose. This leads to a sense of despair that can be hard to escape, as it feels as though there is no way out of this constant cycle of emotional strain. The impact of this emotional burden is not limited to individual struggles. It seeps into every facet of society, influencing how we interact with each other, how we view success, and how we define our worth. Consider the education system, for instance. Students are often taught to memorize, to regurgitate information, and to perform in ways that prioritize grades over personal growth. How many times have we seen children pushed to their limits in the pursuit of academic excellence? How many times have we heard stories of students battling anxiety, depression, or feelings of inadequacy because they are constantly compared to their peers? In many cases, the focus on competition, performance, and achievement leaves little room for emotional development. The result? A generation of young people who grow up believing that their value is tied directly to their ability to succeed, to excel, and to outperform others. And when they inevitably face failure, because everyone does, eventually, they internalize this as a reflection of their worth, rather than as an opportunity for growth. This not only damages their mental health but also perpetuates a culture of perfectionism that is impossible to maintain. As adults, these ingrained ideas about success and failure follow us into the workplace. Here, the pressure to constantly deliver results and the stigma around mental health create an environment where people feel compelled to keep it together, even when their emotional health is deteriorating. The story of a young professional, working long hours, hiding their burnout behind a smile, is one that many of us can relate to. We know that pushing through is often celebrated, while taking a step back to prioritize self-care is viewed as a sign of weakness. Yet, the consequences of this mentality are clear. Burnout rates are skyrocketing, workplace stress is at an all-time high, and mental health struggles among employees are becoming increasingly common. But how many workplaces are actually offering meaningful support for mental health? How many companies are willing to acknowledge that their employees are not robots and that emotional well-being should be treated with the same importance as productivity? The truth is, As a society, we are caught in a toxic cycle, one that values external success above all else and overlooks the emotional cost of striving for that success. And while this system may benefit a select few, it leaves the majority of people feeling lost, exhausted, and disconnected from their true selves. The result is a culture where mental health issues are not just common, they are expected. And unless we begin to critically examine this, to confront the deep-rooted issues that perpetuate these patterns, we will continue to see people suffer in silence. The struggle to break free from this societal norm is real, and it is not easy. We are constantly bombarded by messages that tell us how we should look, what we should achieve, and how we should behave. These messages come from every direction: social media, advertisements, even the people around us. This unrelenting pressure shapes our desires, our fears, and ultimately, our identities. How many times have you found yourself scrolling through social media, comparing your life to the carefully curated posts of others? It's easy to forget that what we see online is often a distorted reality, a snapshot of a life that is only meant to highlight the best moments. But even knowing this, the pressure to keep up can feel overwhelming. This relentless pursuit of perfectionism is not only damaging on an individual level but also reinforces harmful stereotypes and societal norms. Consider the unrealistic beauty standards that are constantly reinforced in the media. Women, in particular, are often told that their worth is directly tied to their appearance, to their ability to meet these beauty ideals. The impact of this is far-reaching, affecting self-esteem, body image, and even mental health. The constant bombardment of ideal body types, flawless skin, and perfect hair leaves many feeling inadequate, no matter how much they try to meet these standards. Similarly, men are also subjected to their own set of unrealistic expectations. While women are often valued for their appearance, men are frequently judged based on their strength, their financial success, and their ability to provide. This creates a society where both men and women are constantly striving to fit into boxes that do not reflect their true selves. The pressure to conform to these ideals not only stifles individuality, but also perpetuates a cycle of emotional distress. The challenge, then, is to break free from these chains. But how can we do this when the very fabric of our society is built on these ideals? How can we prioritize emotional well-being over external success when we are constantly told that success is the only way to prove our worth? The answer lies in shifting the narrative, redefining what success looks like, what happiness looks like, and most importantly, what it means to be truly fulfilled. True fulfillment comes from within. It's not something that can be bought or achieved through external validation. The journey towards self-acceptance is a process of unlearning the narratives we've been fed and rewriting our own story. This is not to say that ambition, success, or achievement are inherently bad. Rather, it's about redefining these concepts on our own terms. It's about understanding that we are enough, just as we are, without needing to constantly prove ourselves to others. One real-life story that comes to mind is that of a man who, after years of climbing the corporate ladder, realized that his pursuit of success had come at the cost of his health and relationships. He spent years working long hours, sacrificing sleep, personal time, and even his mental health in the pursuit of a higher salary, a bigger house, and more status. But in the end, he found himself exhausted, disconnected from his family, and unable to enjoy the very success he had worked so hard to achieve. It was only when he stepped back and reassessed his life that he realized he had been chasing the wrong goals all along. The true measure of success, he discovered, was not in the size of his paycheck, but in the quality of his relationships, his mental well-being, and his ability to live authentically. Another powerful example is the story of a woman who struggled with body image issues for years. She had internalized the societal message that her value was tied to her appearance. For years, she dieted, exercised excessively, and tried every beauty treatment in an attempt to meet these standards. But it wasn't until she began to embrace her body as it was, flaws and all, that she finally found peace. She stopped measuring her worth by the way she looked and started focusing on her health, her passions, and her relationships. This shift in perspective allowed her to live a more fulfilling life, free from the constant pressure to conform. These stories, though different, share a common thread. They are both about breaking free from societal expectations and discovering what truly matters. Whether it's finding balance in our professional lives, embracing our bodies as they are, or letting go of the need for constant approval, the key to emotional freedom lies in the ability to live authentically. It's about rejecting the narrow definitions of success that society imposes on us and creating our own path, one that is rooted in personal growth, emotional well-being, and self-love. The journey towards self-acceptance and fulfillment is not easy, and it won't happen overnight. But it starts with a single step: the decision to stop chasing external validation and to start living for yourself. In doing so, you will not only find a deeper sense of purpose but also contribute to changing the societal norms that perpetuate these unrealistic ideals. Together, we can create a world where true success is measured by the strength of our relationships, the depth of our emotional well-being, and our ability to live authentically. Thank you for being part of this journey with Psychic Station. Share your feedback in the comments below. Your voice helps shape our journey forward. See you in the next video.